John Brennan is best known for being the director of the Central Intelligence Agency. In recent years, he's done a number of interviews that have caught people's attention. One that's been shared thousands of times on social media is this one, in which he was asked what does he think about advanced life forms, and does the United States know more than what the people do? He responded with the following: "When people talk about is there other life besides us in the United States, in the world or globe, life is defined in many different ways, and I think it's presumptuous and arrogant to believe that there's no other form of life anywhere else in the entire universe. What they might be is what I think comes down to a lot of different views, but some of the phenomena that we're seeing at the moment continues to be unexplained, and might in fact be some type of phenomenon that is the result of something that we don't yet understand, and that could involve some type of activity that some might say constitutes to a different form of life." End quote. This video immediately started to get shared around, and led to people sharing their opinion on what he meant by this. It's no secret that the Central Intelligence Agency has been investigating mysterious events, and in recent years they've also shared their experience with mysterious aircrafts, many of which they've said remain unsolved. It's due to these reports that many have taken an interest in this topic, with amateur researchers saying that companies like the Central Intelligence Agency and NASA are starting to open up about what they know. It was only recently that Bill Nelson, NASA's current chief administrator, said that they will be investigating mysterious aircrafts that are often seen in our skies, saying that Navy officials have approached them and detailed some of the things that they've seen. One person said the following: "One of the most interesting things about this interview is to remember that the Central Intelligence Agency knows more than any of us, and the fact that he refused to look into the camera once while saying this is something that we shouldn't ignore. Being at such a high position in the Central Intelligence Agency means that he knows a lot of things that he's keeping close to his chest. Eye movement and body language is a big thing, and I don't think he wants people to analyze his eye movements. It's an interesting confession nonetheless, and it seems to be something that's very relevant at the moment. Hopefully we get more officials coming forward about this topic." End quote. The Central Intelligence Agency has one of the largest databases on these mysterious objects, going into detail about what Air Force pilots, radar specialists and ground investigators have encountered over the years. One of the strangest things that they picked up on was the fact that when we started to launch missiles and other large weapons, we started to get strange visitations of fast-moving objects, which they described as being able to outmaneuver their crafts, easily get into restricted airspace, having the ability to shut down their electronics, and could hover motionless above bases that were storing these missiles. How they were able to do this, and how they knew where they were being kept is still a mystery. But during the 1950s, 60s and 70s, they were able to gather a large amount of data about these objects, and how they were seemingly interested in some of the things that we were doing during that time. One document that was released by the Central Intelligence Agency several years ago details the following. During 2 weeks in 1975, a string of the nation's super-sensitive nuclear missile launch sites and bomber bases were visited by an unidentified low-flying elusive object. The Department of Defense then started to track these objects. The sightings, made visually and on radar by air and ground controls and sabotage alert forces, occurred at installations in Montana, Michigan and Maine, and led to extensive but unsuccessful Air Force attempts to track and detain the objects. Air Force and Defense Department records described the objects as aircrafts that were unknown with bright colors, detailing that they were fast-moving and they would hover over nuclear weapon storage areas and evade all pursuit efforts. In several instances, after base security had been penetrated, the Air Force sent fighter planes and airborne command planes aloft to carry out on unsuccessful pursuits. The record does not indicate if the fighter jets fired on the intruders. The documents also give no indication that the airspace intrusions provoked much more than local command concern, but a November 11, 1975 directive from the Office of the Secretary of the Air Force instructed public information staffers to avoid linking the scattered sightings unless specifically asked. An Air Force press officer who deals with mysterious aircraft said he could have no comment about what happened. Yet another Air Force intelligence report indicated extensive interest in a 1976 incident over Iran, when 2 Iranian Air Force F-4 Phantom fighter planes were scrambled to encounter a bright lit object that was hovering in the skies near Tehran. That object was tracked by Iranian ground radar, seen independently by the crew of a commercial airliner, and pursued by the F-4, which according to the report experienced a breakdown of their electronic communication devices when near the object. The report compiled by American officials said that the electronic weapons system of one of the planes went dead when its pilot prepared to fire an AIM-9 missile at a smaller object that appeared to come out from the large craft. The plane's electronic equipment reportedly became operative after they veered away from the smaller object, which had returned to the larger craft. Iranians described the larger object with coloured flashing lights as the size of a Boeing 707 jetliner. The information on the 1975 and 1976 sightings from the Air Force and North American Defense Command, NORAD, was turned over to redacted. End quote. So what do you make of these interesting comments? And what do you make of mysterious flying aircrafts? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.